Hey everyone, it's Maribel Blue with a new Maribel Blue Unfiltered. We are talking about The Bachelorette, the fantasy suite dates, and I have a plus that I'm going to do because I've been thinking about, I know I've been talking about Patreon for a long time, but I'm thinking about doing some detailed videos on The Bachelorette, the highlights, breaking everything down. And of course, we will be doing that with Married at First Sight. So I'll be doing little intro conversations on these other shows, but everything that will be more detailed and intricate will be posted on Patreon. Some things that YouTube will not allow. There's always other ways of doing things if you get my drift. So, if you are new to my channel, welcome. This is Maribel Blue Unfiltered, where I discuss everything that is reality TV, almost everything that I can watch. And if you are not new, welcome back. This is going to be done more podcast style because I want to do this with a quickness and post this up tonight. I am a week late. I apologize. There's just been a lot of things going on where my schedule did not allow me to record in peace. And then part of it is exhaustion with everything else that I've been working on. So let's get started. Let's start off with the conversation that Gabby and Rachel were having before they veered off on their fantasy suites. Gabby and Rachel relived the week of fantasy suites when Clayton was doing a taste test of who he was going to keep, and we all know how that ended. When Clayton didn't get to taste test Susie because she didn't appreciate he taste tested Gabby and Rachel. Moving on to present day, Rachel and Gabby are subliminally talking about who they are going to taste test. We all know they were very, very excited about fantasy suites. I mean, think about it. After weeks and weeks of making out and feeling each other up and all of these hot tub dates, who wouldn't want fantasy suites to happen as soon as possible? Let's talk about Eric. I thought he would have been the last, but he was actually the first. But now I understand why. Gabby and Eric had a very good date. After taking a leap, there was no doubt they would both agree to the fantasy suite. To me, it was clear when she told Eric the next day just to be patient with me meant you're my guy, but let's finish this show. Now, their dates went very, very well. They went on this water thing where they had to climb like certain levels. And when they got to the higher level, Gabby was questioning as to can she do it? And of course, these are all kind of like these undercover messages that the Bachelor franchise has been doing for years, jumping out of planes, jumping into water from like a high feet. And the whole idea is can you trust your partner to be there for you when you take these leaps of faith, which is what the message was here. I can't think of one person right now for the top of my head that backed out. There have been people that backed out for whatever reason that is, but right now I can't think about it. And when she had mentioned just be patient with me, I definitely got the vibe that it was just a matter of Gabby finding out where the other two guys are at with her. Are they willing to make a commitment? And if they are, how does that affect her decision with Eric? Now, here's a thing where we think as we're watching how she has the upper hand. She has three guys. They're all hot and sexy in their own way. They all have values of what it is that she's looking for in them. And they pretty much accept her for who she is, even if somebody like Hayden couldn't for whatever reason. I mean, think about it. Hayden was like talking about rough around the edges and then accusing of Gabby of saying that. But Hayden couldn't handle a woman like Gabby. He probably couldn't handle a lot of women that were too much of a woman for him anyway. But in the case where she has these three guys, she has the upper hand. She has the ability to say, Let me see where all of this is going to go with me. I feel a certain way for Eric, but let me just see where Johnny and Jason are at in their heads. Okay. But again, it all came down to when she said, just be patient with me, felt like you're the one, but let me just honor these dates. We all know Johnny was over because he was already seen in the Bachelor in Paradise promos. The sucky part was he went as far as the fantasy suite dates for nothing. Now, would things have gone farther with Spencer or maybe Nate if she didn't have reservations about being a stepmom? Perhaps. But even so, it seems Gabby is very taken by Eric. Now, when I think about somebody like Spencer and Nate, they're both really great guys in the sense that I guess Nate decided to take the honesty route. He did mention something on the men tell law that the reason why, because you know that had to be addressed, the reason why he didn't talk about his daughter was because he he had not like commitment phobia, but I think he had like some concerns about a relationship that he was in to share that part of him. I don't know. It's just me. If I had a child and I had concerns about the person that I was dating, that there may be a problem if they're around my child, why would I continue dating them? Just food for thought. Even with Johnny telling her he didn't see himself getting down on one knee, Gabby seemed more accepting of this breakup, perhaps because she already knows that she wants Eric. Now, here's another thing to think about. There are some people on this show that will take a person as far, like choosing them, the person is accepting the rose, seeing where the relationship goes, even if they feel like there isn't a deep rooted connection, or she has more of a connection with somebody else. Perhaps it was easy to take Johnny along that trip because she knew deep down inside that Johnny wasn't going to make the commitment that she was looking for, and that it was just easier to break it off with him. However, she didn't feel that way about Jason. I would say if it came down to, let's just say it didn't work out with well, it didn't work out with Johnny, but let's just say that she kind of had mediocre feelings for Johnny, okay? And Jason wasn't feeling the way he was feeling. Then it would have came down to Jason and Eric. Now, we already know that she is deeply in love with Eric, or so she says she is. It seems to change on her date with Jason. And you can tell also that she's very much into him more than she was with Johnny. What she doesn't know, which is Jason, is also not ready to make a move on a marital commitment, basically getting down on one knee at the end of the season. And even when Jason spilled his thoughts, nothing came out right. I think if Gabby didn't have feelings for him, it wouldn't have mattered. But because she did have feelings for him and it came down to the both of them, now it makes me wonder if Jason was ready to make a commitment, would Gabby still go with Eric? One will never know because Jason, the way he was just talking, the reservations that he had, how he's, well, you're a great girl, but like nobody wants to hear that but that comes after. You're this fantastic person and you're loving and you're good looking, but you know when that but comes in, it's just going to go sideways. And even after all that, even she felt the way she felt. There was something that happened afterward. And I can't remember if it happened like after Jason. The way just everything played out. Gabby had gotten a note, I want to see you. It was Eric, like just to cut to the chase. And Eric and Gabby had a private conversation where I guess she must have assured him, I'm just taking a guess here, that she wanted to be with him just to wait to see how everything else plays out, like I had said before. However, the conversation became open. And this upset Gabby because she felt like Eric was trying to control her decision. Now, I talk with my friend from the Bronx because we watched this show, and the next day she's calling me up for my thoughts. And one of the things that I said to her was, because she took it as he was trying to control her. And I didn't take it that way. I took it as if he has feelings for her. He is afraid of losing her. Therefore, he just needed either some kind of confirmation or for Gabby to reaffirm that she really wants to be with him. Now, this all comes to question when we saw the previews of, well, I want to date somebody before I get married to them. I have a problem with this. Okay. If you plan on getting down on one knee, nobody is saying that you have to coordinate a wedding right away. Yeah, you are supposed to go out and date that person. So what if you're engaged? The relationship doesn't cease. Certain aspects of the relationships don't stop because you're engaged. The whole point of getting engaged so that you can continue being with that person and building a life with them. So for Eric to say something stupid like that just makes me wonder if at the end Gabby does wind up with Eric, or does it happen where he does get down on one knee, but then 3 months later, who knows what we're going to see after the final rose, whether or not they survive the relationship. I don't know. One can only tell, but I probably put that down on my predictions. So you might find that I'll repeat myself again. Now let's talk about Rachel. I have an issue with Rachel because the things that Clayton did, she is doing the same exact thing. I'm going to cut into this thing that I wrote, my thoughts on Rachel and what may be going through her head. I think something more happened with Zach off camera other than the conversation they had. Either she was turned off by something or did something intimate happen where there wasn't satisfaction. And then the too young comment, Zach is 25, Rachel is 26. Maybe they are both too young. But if anyone was feeling that there was lack of maturity, it had to be on Rachel's part. Why use an age as an excuse? Because Clayton could have said the same thing to her. And remember, she was 25 last year with Clayton. So what difference did it make from last year to this year? I was left wondering again if Rachel really wants to be in a relationship. Instead of being forthcoming, she just seems to be making excuses and making up sordid excuses on how to get out of being with Zach. And without getting into the long semantics of her overnights with Tino and Aven, for one, she said she loved, and the other, she said she was falling in love, and that was with Aven. I wonder if Rachel is truly deserving of Aven, because I feel like Aven is a pretty well to do guy. And his dad also spoke very highly of Rachel, which I'm still not seeing where the part is that she's a great catch. That's just me, my own personal opinion. Don't hate. I'm not saying that she's ugly. I think she just lacks making a real commitment. What I think will happen is when Zach talks to Rachel, because we all remember what happens in the final rose, the rose ceremony. There are three roses, there are three guys, and we all know that Zach is not gonna be there. What I think will happen is that Zach talks to Rachel. Either he will take himself out of the running or Rachel will make up some BS and then take him out of the running anyway. But if she gives Zach a rose to shut him down after and get rid of Aven, which I think would be a stupid thing to do, she would still get rid of Zach and then run off with Tino and have a very short lived, happy relationship. Hopefully, this will calm all of that sweating Tino did on their overnight date. I don't think Zach will be there when Rachel makes her statement about her character called into question, as we saw in the coming attractions. Now, very quickly, Here are my predictions. And pretty much my predictions, I wrote this before I saw anything, and they some of them pretty much came to fruition. We all know Zach is not going to be there. It's just a matter of how everything is going to be played out. Here are my predictions according to the previews. If Rachel sends Aven home, it's because she pulled the same stunt she did with Zach. If her friends suspect it's Aven that's not ready to propose, then she will go with Tino. The scenes where she's calling him out saying that she wants an answer for what you did, this seems to be like a secret location, like kind of after the show, like what we've seen with Ari when he broke up with Becca, when she thought they were going to go out on a date. And he basically went there to tell her, listen, I still have feelings for so and so. And he's still with her, believe it or not. So I guess Ari was being real. If this is the secret location where she ends up going with Tino, and they're meeting on a date, and she finds out whatever it is that she finds out, she's just realizing this all this bullshit to Tino was telling her how much his family likes her. In other words, what I want to say is that if Tino is still telling her, oh yeah, my family is going to like you, they're going to love you, they're going to adore you, and all of this BS, I don't think that's the case. I don't believe that Tino's family likes Rachel. And this is going to cause a very major problem. I don't know anybody who is in a relationship with their spouse and they're on the outs with the in laws. Granted that the relationship with the spouse may last, it may not last. I think in this situation, in a televised, open relationship where cameras are all over the place, capturing almost every moment, I don't think that this relationship will last if she goes with Tino. The reason why I think that she should go with Aven, because Aven seems to be the most authentic. He's forthcoming. He was honest with how it was that he was feeling for her. And again, this all goes back to my speculation is that Rachel is not ready to settle down and be in a serious relationship. Perhaps she is too young. Perhaps she is too immature to be in a mature relationship. She's 26 years old. And for me, I feel like, why are you 26 and worrying about settling down now? Yeah, I get the whole motherhood thing. I get that. But at the end of the day, are you going to sacrifice an entire happiness just to have children, to have family in the children because you want to be a mom? There are plenty of women like myself who chose not to be a mom, not because out of selfishness, but because I wanted a different life for myself. And I felt like perhaps I couldn't be a mother and have the life that I wanted, plus be a good mother. It's a whole shit. I'm not even going to get into that. I might even cut that part out. So at the end of the day, if Tino is her pick, then I suspect something terrible happened where she felt deceived. I don't know. Only time will tell. But here's the other thing. This whole thing, like with cutting into Zach, like Zach is still there. I don't think Zach is there. I think Zach went home. As for Gabby, this conversation with Eric can be a suggestion or thought about dating before getting engaged. So here are my thoughts on that. Why is anyone in a relationship needs to stop dating when in a relationship? And I said that before. Like you just don't decide to get engaged and then everything else just stops. It's not supposed to. The whole point, and this is what I even wrote, the whole point of relationships is work. It doesn't stop or pause. And if it does, then something is wrong. I think if Eric is truthful about how he feels for Gabby, he will do everything in his power to be with her. And if he's not ready, he shouldn't have bothered with her in the first place. So basically, those are my thoughts on what I think about what happened with the fantasy suite. Do I think that Rachel and Gabby should have been the bachelorettes? I mean, it's good for television, it makes for conversation, it makes for views. But again, I'm still looking at it is that these are people's lives. Okay? These are people trying to make decisions on who it is that they want to spend the rest of their lives with. Granted, there is no guarantee in any relationship. People change over time, and you'll see that. I talked about that in my coaching video. I don't think that any of the relationships worked out for Gabby and Rachel. As much as everybody wants to see a happy ending with the both of them, I think in their own right, they're really great women. I just think that Rachel is not really ready for a real relationship, whereas Gabby is. Had the show been different if it was just Gabby? Absolutely. And we probably wouldn't have seen a lot of the same guys that appeared on the season. It definitely would have been a different journey. Bachelorette is coming tomorrow where they meet their families. And I feel like this show has just been like super long for weeks and weeks and weeks. And then before you know it, we're going to be in Bachelor in Paradise. But anyway, that's it. That's all I have. And with all that being said, I would love to hear your thoughts and comments. Please, no spoilers on what really happens. If you know, in the comment section, it will be deleted. But then sadly, I won't know. So with all that being said, this is Maribel Blue signing off. Always remember, be good to yourself, be good to each other, and most importantly, take care of you. Bye, everybody.